Welcome to the Composer's Corner. Welcome to the Composer's Corner.
I have heard some people say that you can determine your passion by finding out what it is you really would love to do when you wake up every day if fame and money didn't have anything to do with it. Something you just had to do and needed to do. That's one way to find out what your basic passion is. But for you, it seemed that it changed as time went on.
It really did. It did. I mean, I loved radio. It was the end-all, be-all of my life. It was everything. And then I had a baby. You know, my life started to change there, and it was time to move on from radio. I'd always put my entire 24/7 being into my radio show and being Dayna Steele, and all of a sudden I had this little guy that needed, you know, my love and attention and guidance. So yeah, it can change, and you just have to take all these things into consideration. And I think change is good. Change is, you know, I learn more, I meet more people, I do more things, I add more experiences, and the more you take that into life, just the more fulfilled you can be.
Now, Bernard and I both got a kick out of the confidence chapter. And we both want to kind of grill you on some things. Number one, could you define the difference between confidence, ego, and arrogance, and give examples of your experiences with some of the rockers, because you gave some hysterical examples in the book of gracious rockers and arrogance, and how does somebody go about being confident without being cocky?
When you start to take advantage of other people, you're late, you're rude, you're unprepared. That's when confidence becomes arrogance and cockiness. I watch so many young up-and-coming bands. You know, people always say, who are your favorites? Who are the best? The best were always the established rockers. They got to that point not only because of their music and their ability, but they got to that point also because they played the game. They were prepared. They were on time. They thanked, you know, the radio stations and the DJs who played their music, and they were gracious with their fans. It was these young and up-and-coming bands who maybe just had their first hit, who they were rock stars, and they'd be late, and, you know, they'd come in the studio, and they'd answer everything with, yeah, no. Well, that makes for a pretty sucky radio. You know, well, okay, thank you for coming by.
Yeah.
It is a lot of the up-and-coming bands, and I'm wondering, you know, in the music business, entertainment in general, confidence is very important. They have to be confident in what they're doing and believe in themselves. But how do they find that line where they may be stepping over and becoming irritating or obnoxious? Is it they should be aware of how people are reacting to them, or is it something else?
I think you just have to constantly make sure that you're aware of everyone that you're speaking to and in a room with, and that you're really paying attention. You're not just going through the motions. You really find something about that person that makes a connection. And when you start running roughshod over other people, and I think you know if you're doing it, if you're not being appreciative of everybody around you that's helping you along the way, yeah, you're getting a little cocky.
One of the things that always amazed me about you, when I met you, David and I and you, we were backstage at Rockefeller's, I believe. And here is the great Dayna Steele. And I'm here with two of the most humble people I'd ever known, except David.
Except David Crosby.
Except David. But here, you know, he's this extremely talented, well-known disc jockey. And I think we went to NASA the next day.
Yeah.
And then literally before I got back to California, there was a handwritten thank you note from the great Dayna Steele. It amazed me that you took time always to send handwritten thank you notes, and that's one of the things you kind of divulge in the book, is that this has actually been a pretty good tactic because it makes people feel validated, it makes people feel appreciated, and it also shows them that you take the time to nurture relationships. Really, though, how critical is all of that?
Oh,
and
it's
what
the
are
most
other tips?
powerful tool in your toolbox. No matter what business you're in, relationships are everything. If I didn't say anything else this entire interview, relationships are everything in your personal life and in your professional life. And anybody who helps you along the way, you need to say thank you. I used to say, Dear Ronnie, thank you for the Black Sabbath tickets. The concert was really great. I appreciate you thinking. Thank you for getting me an interview with the band. Thank you for getting me backstage passes. They made fun of me. Some people made fun of me. Somebody said to me once, you'd write a thank you note if somebody held the door for you. And I said, yeah, and?
Yeah, it's like that's normal.